So many people are struggling with sleep today. And at least in the small sample of patients that I see, most of them aren't usually coming to see me because they have some sort of issue with their sleep, but oftentimes helping someone sleep better makes managing their symptoms, whatever those other symptoms may be, quite a bit easier to manage. Difficulty sleeping or insomnia are among the most common medical complaints affecting nearly a third of the adult population. The most common form of sleep disturbances, at least that I personally see, have to do with dysglycemia, which is the fancy term for fluctuations in your blood sugar. Reason being is your brain is a very needy organ, and so it has to have this constant supply of energy in order to keep it alive. In fact, in this article, they actually state that the brain depends on glucose as its main source of energy, and in the adult brain, neurons have the highest energy demand, requiring continuous delivery of glucose from your blood. And get this, the brain accounts for nearly 2% of the total body weight, but it consumes about 20% of our overall glucose, making it the main consumer of glucose. Why this is important to understand is because whenever we're sleeping, we usually aren't eating, meaning we aren't adding any glucose to our system that our brain can utilize as fuel. Well, of course, our super smart body has a plan for this so that with every meal that you consume, there should be some of that glucose from that meal used to accomplish whatever task it is that you're doing at that moment, and then the rest we want to store for later. Why we want to store it for later is so that we have this constant drip that we can pull from in the middle of the night. Now, tying this back to dysglycemia, patients with dysglycemia have blood sugar irregularities. And now, if their glucose stores become low in the middle of the night, they call this nocturnal hypoglycemia, the brain still has to have some sort of fuel. So, what your body will do instead is release catecholamines, aka your stress hormones, like adrenaline, to go and break down protein and use that as an alternative fuel source. Now, as you can imagine, if you have adrenaline pumping through your veins in the middle of the night, it's probably not going to be real easy to get a good night's rest. This is the main mechanism behind insomnia that I personally feel is often overlooked by traditional healthcare providers, and managing this mechanism has been shown to be pretty effective within the patient population that makes their way into my office. Also, something that is pretty interesting to me, I think, is that there's this vicious loop that they describe in this paper where they say that decreased sleep and or impaired sleep quality directly influences your glucose regulation. They state that even a single night of partial sleep restriction in adults reduces your insulin sensitivity by 14 to 21%, meaning that dysglycemia could be the reason as to why you aren't getting a good night's rest, but also with every poor night's rest, you further impair your ability to regulate your glucose levels. Like I said, it's this vicious loop. When it comes to sleep issues, traditional healthcare providers are typically looking for things like sleep apnea, where a patient's airways become obstructed for a multitude of different reasons throughout the night. And of course, this is important, but what happens if your sleep disturbances are not due to sleep apnea? Well, they might tell you to do all the typical sleep hygiene things like limit your caffeine consumption later in the day, keep your bedroom at a comfortable temperature, no screens before bedtime. And again, all these are important things to take into consideration. The purpose of this video is just to highlight one possible issue that could be contributing to your sleep issues based on my own biases due to the patient population that I personally see. And if you're struggling with sleep issues and you've already tried all the sleep hygiene things, hey, maybe you even had a sleep study performed and nobody has given you any solid help yet, try managing your blood sugar and see if that makes a significant difference. If you click on this video up here, I'll discuss why I often utilize the ketogenic diet to help my patients manage dysglycemia. Let me know if you have any questions.